pleasure to introduce this video made to mark the 20th anniversary of the friendship, the growth in understanding between the communities of the Wessex Jamaat Mosque and Portsmouth Cathedral, and more widely between the Christian and Muslim communities in this part of Hampshire.
When I was first ordained as a new curate 22 years ago, I lived in Fareham and I was at the parish of Holy Trinity and St Columba. And one of our women clergy there was a hospital chaplain. And she worked with Yasin's father in the hospital. And I remember meeting Bashir early on and having an amazing conversation with him.
My father, Marhum Mullah Bashir, was appointed the resident alim in 1988, and for the first 2 years of his work in this country, in Wessex Jamaat, he concentrated a lot of his efforts in getting the community in Wessex together. His vision was one of collaboration, not only within the community but also outside the communities. As a result of this, a gentleman by the name from the Anglican Church in Portsmouth by the name of Michael Doe, forgive me if I can't remember his first name, but I'm certain that the second name was Doe. I think it was Michael Doe. He approached my father, and in 1992 they had a meeting at my house in Fareham, 5 Green Walk. It was the month of June. I remember it very clearly because my wedding cards were just being published, and I walked into the house with my wedding cards, and my father was sitting there with Reverend Doe in the sitting room, and they were clearly planning the collaboration of what we are witnessing the result of it today. And it was very interesting to see the two of them conversing about what the vision was and what they were envisaging that particular afternoon in June was no different to what we have achieved today.
Extremely important. The interfaith should be part of our daily life.
I think it's been really good to get to know the communities and to have people coming to us. It gives more and more diversity for us and for the other communities, other faith communities as well. Yeah.
It's very important for us to promote this culture of peace, understanding, tolerance among different religions.
To try and understand what their faith is all about and what our faith is all about.
We live in a small world, a global village as it's sometimes called, and it's so important that the huge variety and diversity of that world doesn't drive people apart, but draws them together.
We break down some of those barriers, and there are always other people on the edge who come along who have never been before, and usually they're shocked positively.
It gives a platform to ask and answer questions, and that's the only way we can build our bridges.
God's love is the river through which this interfaith activity is making a tunnel from one community to the other.
It enhances our understanding of other faiths.
It's opened up windows of opportunities to share my faith.
So it's a two-way street benefit. What they get from us, we try to get something from them.
Meeting with our Christian brothers every year has impacted me greatly as an individual. It has taught me to appreciate and value every individual for the goodness they have.
It gives us again the opportunity to work on commonalities between the faiths, and most important of all is that it enables us to coexist with each other.
It's terribly important actually, particularly in British society, where there's a growth of secularism really, where people of faith all find ourselves a bit marginalised. I think it's quite important that we can stand together for God and witness to Him together in our own community.
Faith of any kind is a relationship with God, and I don't believe it's possible to have a relationship with God if you don't have a relationship with the people around you.
Because it helps understanding and it breaks down barriers.
It's important that we work together, but it's a two-way process, right? It's not just in terms of the rest of the community understanding you, it's also in terms of you understanding the rest of the community in which you are.
It's very important for people to get to know each other. And once they know each other, there's no issue of concern because they understand each other. So it's extremely important for us to do this, have these occasions, and we should continue doing them.
I think it is still relevant today when we look at all the Islamophobia that's going on, that if initiatives like these were taken up globally, I think a lot of problems would be solved.
Well, it started 20 years ago with Mullah Bashir and one of our canons, Colin Bradley. They met together and then they asked a group of us if we'd like to meet each other. And we did, we enjoyed it, and it developed.
I think it's become bigger. I think there have been more open discussions between members of the different communities.
The journey that I've had with your community has been a roller coaster, because I have first of all learned a lot about your faith and about the way in which your community works and about the way in which your community has come into being through my visits, not just to the community here in Portsmouth, but also to the community in India, to the community in East Africa.
It's really my friendship has developed with the community more broadly through my friendship with Sheikh Fazl, whom I trust and whom I respect deeply, a very prayerful man, a man of peace.
I think the meeting that we had in Titchfield Church about 3 weeks ago was particularly helpful because there was more dialogue between us. There were a number of people there from both communities and we were able to ask some of those awkward questions really that are on our minds, so that was really particularly good.
Those who facilitate the genial interfaith discussions at Portsmouth Cathedral should know that they have been a springboard to other groups who want to demystify phenomenologies, the relative phenomenologies, and also to banish bigotry.
It's wonderful that these gatherings, this friendship has grown over 20 years and we're coming together to celebrate that. Not because we've reached the end, but this is a particular staging post on a journey.
Just as I fulfill my other obligations through prayer, fast, charity, pilgrimage, likewise, coming together in God's holy name is a devotion which I personally feel for me to be able to undertake in fulfilling my witness and commitment to my faith as a Muslim.
We share the same values of wanting to see the world established and people to live peaceably and with love towards one another. So there's just so much in common, and I think that is what drives me, particularly in this rather secular, humanistic world.
By getting the opportunity to speak to someone of another faith, it makes me think about
my own faith, and actually sometimes getting that fresh perspective actually really motivates you to start questioning your faith and start understanding your faith even more.
But it just builds my spirits up tremendously to know how well we all get on and how very much we've come to love one another, because that's really what it's all about.
We've had the goldfish ball where we've sat with other faiths and we've kind of shared our practices, like how we pray in different ways to the one Lord, and it's such a unifying factor.
It has given me the opportunity to integrate into the wider society as a British Muslim.
It makes me happy to see the Christians and the Muslims being friends.
And I also remember being asked to be part of our Mosque's Got Talent judging panel when I had to judge other people's, young people's efforts in artistic ways, which was kind of scary because I don't do that normally, but actually Sheikh Faisal and I had almost identical scores, so I was really pleased.
When I entered the church, the high walls, the high ceiling and the beautiful interior was amazing. Yeah.
Back in 2001, you remember the 9/11 crisis? And because we already had our friendship sort of going on a regular basis, we were actually easily able to come together on the Friday evening and just bring the whole situation to God.
I remember particularly one year when here in the cathedral, Christian people took Muslim people around the cathedral and explained to them the symbolism of what's here and the meaning of what's here.
It's generally the individual conversations with people that I remember the most. The specific phrases that people say that make you appreciate how profound an effect these conversations can really have.
There was a time we were praying for Iraq, and that was the first time it really shocked me that Christians actually did pray for Muslim countries.
The memory that I would share with you is meeting Jamil, because I met him at the cathedral and we've become friends. Jamil Bandali, who you know, I'm sure, and we've become friends, and it's been a very good relationship.
Very encouraging, very inspiring, very constructive.
What a brilliant thing it is that this has been going for 20 years, and everyone who's involved in it kind of talks about it really fondly, so it's so well established. I think it could be a real kind of springboard for all sorts of other things.
Well, actually, that is in our hands. If we are open and we share with communities far and wide, we share with the host community and other faiths, then it's going to go a long way, and we're going to unite.
I also feel that we need to meet more often to share our beliefs, our culture, our understanding, so that through us we can promote a culture of peace, brotherhood and sisterhood among all people.
I hope that more and more people get to hear of this, and I hope it happens in other communities as well, and in other churches and mosques.
Arrange programs to discuss and develop on them, such as family life, marital life, upbringing of children.
The most positive ways to me seem to be shared meals, because when we share food together, then we get on together and we talk together, so maybe more shared food might be a good idea.
In these difficult contemporary times where we find that the waves of secularism are overpowering us just like a tsunami rolling upon us, it is essential that we continue to have more interactions and go to a higher level, not only in the formal discussions, but think about having programs whereby we will have involvement in social action projects united in the community, and we continue to serve God together in His holy name as a community locally over here.
Your Sheikh Fazi said a couple of years ago about doing things for the homeless, for instance. Those are the sort of things we ought to be doing together.
People like youngsters like Zahra here and people like yourselves, the youth of today, who are going to have to take the mantle forward. And you're going to have to know how to take the mantle forward from the elders who you have experienced from.
And I'm sure you're going to take it to new heights.
Even better.
Hopeful.
Amazed.
Community spirit.
Uplifting. Enlightening.
Inspiring.
Well done.
Spiritual.
Journey.
Reaffirming.
Hopeful.
Happy.
Liberating.
Stimulating.
Mighty
Oaks come from
tiny
acorns.
Subhanallah, 20 years, this is a significant milestone for both our faith communities. On behalf of my congregation, Wessex Jamaat, based at Al-Mahdi Center, I would like to pay tribute to one and all involved in this very important relationship. And I sincerely hope that we will be able to be hand in hand together to attain greater heights in serving God's holy name in both our communities.
It is a wonderful and unique story, isn't it? This relationship of 20 years in which we've learned about each other, listened to each other, become friends with each other. And I think it shows that the way forward for both our communities is putting time into friendship, putting time into listening, and hopefully we can grow together even more strongly in the future years.
You are right. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
God bless.